What's up guys, welcome back to part 2 of our Vanquish VS4-10 Phoenix build. I'm very excited to get on with this build and hopefully get this thing done very soon. I can't wait to hit the trails with it, hit the RC land, all that good stuff with it, and just put it through its paces and just really get to enjoy the truck and then really just finish building it. I really enjoy building this stuff as well. Before we get into today's part though, I want to take note on this front axle here. We had a subscriber pointed out that I installed these two knuckles wrong. I had them flipped around where it was going to steer connecting to this. So I just had these 180. I had to take and put them on each side. So I apologize if I steered anybody wrong on assembling this front axle if you're watching the video. It was funny looking back at the footage because in the instruction manual you can see how they're supposed to go, and then you can see I just completely ignored that and went the opposite direction. But hey, accidents happen, simple mistake, easy to fix. Shout out to the guy pointing it out. Thank you, sir. Let's get on with today's video. Okay, and because we're diving into some electronics on this part of the build, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys all the electronics we're going to use. I should have done it at the beginning, but it doesn't matter. We're going to get it done now. So for communications, we're going to be using my Futaba 7PX, and we're going to be using a R334 SBS-E. I'll probably have to upgrade and get a bigger one later unless I run like an extension or something because we only have 4 channels on this one. But for right now, this guy's going to work perfectly fine because he was sitting on the bench back there ready to be used, so we're going to use him. So this little guy right here is a little controversial $54 Amazon Servo. You know, me and Chase like our Amazon products for whatever reason. We like testing them. So Chase, this one's for you, buddy. We're going to try this guy out. Originally, I was going to put this in the Sin, but we went with our Savox 1212 SG for that. It's just phenomenal servo, like 658 ounces of torque. Thing is a monster. A little slower side, like 0.14 transit speed, but thing's a monster for what I need to do for the Sin. It's great. 45 kilograms of torque, and we are going to have 0.7 transit speed, so you really can't beat that for the price. If this thing holds up, we're going to keep buying these bad boys. Delivered in a day if you have Amazon Prime, of course. IP67 waterproof, coreless digital, full metal gears, and aluminum case. I mean, guys, I don't know if we can beat this. This might be it. I might have you guys onto something. We'll see. So that's the servo we're going to use. We're going to try it out. Figured, what does it hurt to try it once? We're going to try it. If you guys have used this, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your topic was. If you love it, it's been in your rig like 2 years, or it was in your rig 2 hours and the thing gave up the ghost. Let me know. I'm really excited to try this. I don't know. It's just cool to try different things. I don't know. It just keeps it exciting. So that's the servo we're going to be running. As far as our system, we are going to run the Hobbywing 540 Axe system. This is an 1800 kV system, full censored, all that stuff. Really excited to use this. We had this bad boy in the Sin, and it was great until you tried to tow 30 pounds and she got a little hot. But for crawling duties, 1800 brushless axe, you can't go wrong. That's what we're going to use for this. Now, eventually in the future, I do want to use Tekin Electronics again. I used to use those non-stop, like that was all I ran. I ran Tekin Electronics, and I ran high-tech servos and Spectrum radio. That's all I used. You couldn't tell me to run another thing. Everybody was like, oh, try this Aerotronics. No. It's like, oh, try this Novak. No. Tekin, high-tech, and Spectrum. Then I progressed in the RC world. I wasn't a kid anymore, and I wasn't stubborn on my ways, and I started listening, started doing some new things, and I found my new ways. So, but what I'm getting at with this is I want to go back to Tekin. I love their products. It was great in the 8-scale stuff, even in the 4-wheel drive short course, and that was big. It was just great. It was great in my little touring car I used to run when I was a kid, and just I love that stuff. So we're going to get some Tekin products in here soon. Definitely going to run some of their stuff. I love their stuff. Like I said, it's always been good to me. I never had a problem. Even if I did have a problem, I think I'd have like one problem. Customer support was phenomenal. I did have one problem. 4-wheel drive short course, we were out there practicing and my rotor like grenaded. I think it was probably my fault at the end of the day because it probably got too hot. I had the gearing wrong or something. I was like 12 or 13, but anyway, the rotor exploded in the motor. Like you can spin it. I probably have the thing somewhere as like a little souvenir. I'll try to find it for you guys. This was a Pro 4 Tekin motors. But anyway, reached out to Tekin from my buddy, and they sent me a new one. Like no questions asked, none of that stuff. Aaron, you'll remember this. You were at the track that day. Shout out to Aaron. He was helping me with all that stuff. He used to always be a big help at the track. Really appreciate him. Really cool. He watches all the videos. So shout out to Aaron for just watching this and being there and remember that memory. So let's get into this build, guys. All right. For this portion, starting with bag C here. Let's go ahead and dive straight into it. You take this piece right here, pointing towards me if you want to, or pointing towards you, whichever you want to go. But if you're looking at the piece that's not hollow, we're going to put the gear towards that piece according to the manual, and we're going to drop this right in the top just like that. And then once let's go ahead and screw it down. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff in the servo real quick. Okay, got all the bushings and everything put in the servo, so now we're going to go ahead and put this straight in the top of this guy, just like that. It wants us to use these flat screws. Which I don't believe are going to fit on these brass washers. We'll see. So note, if you do buy this servo and use it, these little brass washers do not fit with the Vanquish screws, so we're just going to pop them guys out. Sometimes I never even run them anyway. You can if you want to. We're not going to because they don't fit. Let's try this one more time. So we're going to put this guy in the top of here. Take our screw, place it on top of that. This piece fits really good on the table, so it's really easy to do this. We did yesterday with the other stuff, but we're going to use the drill to go ahead and start everything and just run it up just to save time, and then we're going to final snug with just a hand wrench. So once you have this servo put in here just like that, get your horn facing the closed part, not the open part. This thing out here, it tells us to go ahead and put our servo horn on. I'm going to go ahead and just set it on and leave the screw loose. That way I can turn it to wherever I need to go. It wants us to put the servo horn toward the front right here. Just like that. Which that is not going to work for me. Screw out of my trusty universal screw kit I keep over here. Kind of just a bunch of random stuff, but I seem to usually have everything I need. Now this one I would definitely do by hand, of course, so if you don't already know, we're definitely going to do this one by hand. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on there the direction they say, which is just like this. And we're just going to put the screw in there, just kind of leave it for right now, followed by this one. Not tighten anything so that way I can move it whenever I cut the servo on and first adjust it. Except we're just getting everything in here. I'm not even really snugging everything. I'm just keeping it loose. Really loose just so I can move it. But that's what it's telling me to do right now. So that's what we're doing. And then if you want to, go ahead. Just keep these in a safe place so you don't lose them. If you want to add a winch later, I believe this is where the winch servo goes. You use a servo winch. I'm going to go and screw these in here just so I don't lose them or anything like that. And just because it's going to be convenient. All right, so we have the first bit done, step one. Right here, got everything put together. Don't know how this is gonna work right here. The servo horn might be too long. I'm slightly concerned about that, but we'll deal with that when we get to that part. Now for number two, it wants us to take this piece flipped over just like this, and it wants us to go ahead, put this little guy right here. Don't think it matters. There's like a little indent right there. And at the bottom, I think it's just how it was molded. I don't think that matters up or down. Wants us to put this guy on just like this. Go ahead and do that. Got that bad boy on there. That's really cool. That's a good fit and finish. All this stuff is so good fit and finish. Then we're going to take some of these guys right here. And we're going to go ahead and put those in there. I'm just snugging this until I feel a little bit of tension on the gun over here, and you should be fine doing that. So that's how this looks all put together. That is step two. We're going to set this bad boy to the side and proceed with step three. Step three wants us to take this end of the frame rail with the Vanquish logo pointing, would be for you guys like this. For me, looking at the instruction manual, I'm doing it like this. We're going to take this guy. I'm going to lay him down. And it first wants us to take this guy just like this, line that up. Look at that, guys. Just look real quick. Just look. We're gonna do this one more time. Look at this. Snaps together, holds together. The fit and finish on this stuff is fantastic. Shout out to Vanquish for building amazing products. This stuff is top notch for sure. So, have this guy set on here. What it wants us to do now is go ahead and we can put these two in right here because they don't hold anything. So So I think I'm gonna go proceed to do that. The 8mm little tiny screws going in this one. I'm gonna put that in just so it holds this on here. Get these guys snug. Now, we're gonna go ahead and take one of these off. Okay, once we have all these things shaved down to our liking, we're gonna go ahead and put one of these on. We want this guy right here. So if you're facing it, it's going to be on your left side for you guys. So like, imagine I'm back here, it's on your left side. This is the one you're gonna use for this one on the servo. And we're going to put it together just like this. So lip right here, and this is going to go onto the right side. And we're going to use these countersunk screws right here. All right, and once we have that on, it'll look just like this. The little, I'm assuming this is going to be for the body mounting. Now it wants us to take this metal piece right here that was the one in the baggie. We're going to take this and put it right there beside it. For those, you're going to use your M3x10 screws. And you want to do the little hand thing, unless it just makes you more comfortable and you want to do that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing this, however you want to do it. Just take that, just make sure it's snug, and you just grab the end of it like this and just do that. Aaron also taught me that. I used to like grab this thing and like do it like that and tighten it all the way down. No, he was just like, go ahead and screw it in and then just 2 fingers grab it and you're snug. As tight as you want to go. You don't strip anything out. Doing his method, I haven't stripped anything out since doing that. Now sometimes I admit I forget and I do strip stuff out. So just a quick little tip right there. Now we have assembled so far just like this. What our next step is in bag C, it wants us to grab our center panel right here. It's going to be like a center skid plate, and go ahead and attach it to the chassis, followed by one of these little side skid plate rock guard deals. We're going to put these on. Now, taking this, what you're going to do is put the skid plate forward towards your servo, and you'll see in the chassis right here, the frame rail, how it lines up. You just go ahead and put that right in there. All the holes will line up. Take this guy right here with these 4 screws, with these 2 pointing outwards away from the truck. And it wants us to use our M3x10, 3 of those, and screw this thing together. And this thing, like I said, this chassis, everything fit to finish is amazing. So just go ahead and slide this till those holes line up. And see, I'm shaking this, it's not falling out, so that's awesome. It holds itself. I'm gonna go ahead and do this part by hand. Personally, I'm gonna grab this, and it wants screws. We're gonna do 1, 2, and then 1, and we're gonna leave that one blank. So take that, that'll help you to line everything up so you can hold it. And we're gonna take that like this, and go ahead and, it doesn't matter what it looks like right now, just go ahead and get that screw started. Once you have it started a little bit, go ahead and spin this thing up, and then go ahead and put the screw in one of this ends right here. Just like that. See right here, this gap is closing and coming together. Then you'll feel the drill get snug. Just like that. See how the drill kind of torqued there at the end? That's how you know you're getting tight. And then we'll do this little method right here. Make sure everything is nice and tight. And we're all good there. So now we have the bottom skid plate assembled right here. Now it wants to take our fuel cell receiver box, I believe, and go ahead and assemble this to the chassis as well. Laying it down just like this. We're going to take and lay this in here. Take one of these little tiny M6s, M3x6, and run it through the end. Now for this again, we're going to note direction of the hole. So again, I grabbed the wrong one. It's going to want us to use this one. So both these holes on this side of the chassis will be pointing towards the front. So when you put this guy right here, he is going to be pointing towards the front. Both these holes for body posts, you want to add a different body later on. And where you're going to put this is, you're going to leave 2 holes at the front, and you're going to leave 1 hole at the back. You don't have to do it in the order I'm doing it. You can do it in what order makes you comfortable. And once we have that done, I'll turn it to you guys. So this is the end of page 7 and 8 in the book. We got these 2 screws in, shock towers pointing forward. We have 3 screws in the bottom, leaving the back one open. We have this guy put on facing downward just like this. Our servo put on facing forward. And yeah, just a little recap of this, and this is what we look like in our current state. Now for the remainder of bag C, it's going to be the other frame rail, the other side skid plate, and then the 2 little body mounts. Lay our chassis up just like that. Snaps into place. Very nice, very nice. It's coming together, guys. Okay, now just to recap, this goes on the same way the other side did, but these 2 just go in the center. There's no 3rd screw. So everything else goes on good. I'll let you look from the top. These all line up just like they're supposed to. Have all your screws in here. And should be good. No screws in the front. And we skipped 2 screws right here, as well as on this side. And then on the back one, you should have skipped the back going toward the fuel cell. And then on this passenger side of the truck, you skip both the outsides. And that is the chassis assembly. Bag C, complete. Okay, now we move on with bag D. This looks like a very, very fun bag. I'm gonna need a bigger tray for all my screws. But this is bag D. We're gonna go ahead and unbag this bad boy. This looks like transmission, transfer case, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get to it. So for bag D, we have everything laid out, and boy, is it a lot. You got a ton of screws, a ton of gears and bearings. You got stuff for your dig, your little axle pieces. You got some transmission housings. You got all this stuff and everything over here. I think that might be the biggest bag in the kit, honestly, as far as parts goes, with everything in there. Probably wrong though, we'll see. This one's got a lot to it. Was this bag H? Okay, because this is such a big part of the build, I got another cardboard right here so you can see everything very well. And we're going to dive into this thing. Hopefully this is a better angle for you guys to kind of see everything that's going on and what all we're going to be doing. First off, once let's take this little piece right here. It says VFD on it, really cool. And once let's go ahead and insert one of our 5x11x4 bearings. We should be familiar with these. We used a lot of them on the axles. I'm going to pop this guy in the center right here. Take our big guy and we're going to go through the center. Just like that. These 2 plastic guys right here. Go ahead and break those off. Through this side, just like that. I need 2 of those. And thread them into this. We want the, see how it's longer on this end than this end with the hole closer to us. We want the hole sticking farther away from this. Okay, and I'm gonna let that fall back out. Probably want to put that guy in last. And we're gonna go ahead and tighten these up. Just gonna stick this guy in here right now to hold this. Now right here, if you have something like this 1.5 mil wrench, it's gonna help you out to hold this. They're very hard to hold, but it wants them pointing straight up, so that's exactly the way I'm gonna do this. Wants one of these flat black backing plates. Put down first. Seems like it's going to go onto this. There's gonna be a groove here you can line this up on. And then it wants us to peel the sticky off of this and stick it to the inside of the slipper clutch. So let's go ahead and begin to do that. The white side is going to be the side that you peel off. This is going to be your abrasive. Just going to line the hex up. Just like this. Go ahead and give it a good push down and let it hold itself. And we're going to do this other one the same way. And when you're done, this is going to look just like this when it's all put together. Now for bearings, we're going to use these 5x9x3. They are the smaller bearing. It wants one of these inserted into the center of the slipper. And now the indented piece is going to point outward away from your, I guess, center shaft, if you want to call that. And you go ahead and put this in there. Then next step is it's going to want this guy put on. And this guy is going to be put on just like this. You might want to make sure you don't get any oil on your fingers on this, or at least try not to. You can wipe it on a rag or something and push it up here because it's going to be what holds the slipper together from spinning. You're going to put the flat side to the little slipper pads. Make sure you go down on that groove. Everything should fit nice and snug right there. Then with this sticking out, We have this plastic washer they gave us. Once that put on the inside, followed by our lock nut. And this lock nut's going to be a 7 mil. You're going to go ahead and tighten this down. You don't want it too tight so it doesn't slip, but you don't want it too loose. Find that happy medium. Okay, now that it was all assembled, this is torqued to my liking. Quad torque here. Now it wants us to proceed to put our spur gear on our pinion gear on our motor. They supply you with a nice 15-tooth pinion here, so we're going to go ahead and put this on our motor. Before I put this pinion on, something to note, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to, I've went and took some blue Permatex Loctite, and I've put it right here before I go in the pinion, just so I ensure that this thing won't come loose. I don't want this coming loose on a trail or anything. That's just something that I do. You don't have to do it, but I would recommend using blue. Would not use the red because you'll probably never get that guy off and you'll be very good friends with a Dremel. And when you go to put this pinion on the motor right here, something to note, you have a flat spot on the shaft of the motor. You're going to make sure that flat spot lines up with where you're going to tighten this down at. Now you don't exactly know if you need to be inward or outward yet because you're not fully assembled. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and tighten this down so I make sure I stay on this little knurl flat spot, and I'm just going to leave it like that. Not too tight for right now, but just tight enough so I know that it's there, and if it is where it needs to be, then I'll go ahead and snug that back down in a minute. Now from here, you're going to have the spur gear pointing toward the inside, these pointing towards the outside. My motor doesn't come apart unless I unsolder it, so I'm definitely not doing that, so that's why everything's connected if you're curious. But you're going to go ahead and take this and put through this hole right here, and take 2 of your screws. These are going to be the M3x10s. They only give you 2 of these. They have the little flat washer on them. You're going to go ahead and use these to thread into the motor. You can also put blue Loctite on these if you would like to. I'm not going to just because I don't think it's necessary. You have 2 of these versus with the pinion gear, we only have 1. Find your hole, and then you're just going to go ahead and thread this in there. You're not going to tighten this down yet. Make sure you have both holes visible. All right, everyone, we are back. We went and had some dinner. Now we are back. I also have my cool little mug of hot chocolate in it here. We're going to be sipping on, getting festive for Halloween. So what we have here is we moved this out. If you guys are able to see this, this is all flush now across here. And all we do is loosen that set screw again and slide that out and then torque it back down with the blue Loctite. And then as far as the gear mesh goes, kind of what you want to do here is get this thing centered, and then you want to leave a tiny gap in between these two. And it's also not a bad idea. Some people take a piece of paper and run through here. If it puts a hole in the paper, you know it's too close. If it just goes through the paper really smooth, then it means it's good. It's just like an old school trick that everybody used to do. Just kind of do it whatever your preference is. I'm sure you guys know how to do gear mesh now, but if you don't, a small piece of paper here, it's really thin, so I just folded it in half. And essentially what you're going to do here is take it and put it right here, and then you're going to turn this gear and let it pull through, just like this. See if it does that right here, and it doesn't dent the paper, like crease it and crack it in the middle. You know your gear mesh is good and it's not too tight. So I was saying by just leaving that little gap in between there, and we'll run it back through one more time so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see it's just putting good grooves in here. It's making good contact. It's not too tight, too aggressive, and everything's just good there. That's just an old school way to check your gear mesh and just make sure it's right and you're not going to damage anything. And we're going to take this guy, slide him over these 2 little plastic guides we put on earlier, just like this. He's going to slide just like that, kind of making a real trans here. We do the M2x6s. These little guys through here. These are going to be a 1.5 mil, little tiny guy. Go ahead and begin threads on some of these. Get that to hold up. Always be careful, of course, the smaller the screw, be more careful, but these will strip out very easily. Just something to take note of. You can see I was using my little trick right there, grabbing the end of the screwdriver, make sure I don't strip these guys out. So next, we're going to go ahead and take our following piece, going to the trans. You're again going to slide it over those 2 things right there and mate it right up. Gonna have more of these screws, another 5 of the 2.6. All right, next up, it wants us to grab the next piece, which is going to be this guy right here. I love how this stuff, just look at that, it broke off perfectly. I barely even have to do anything. I didn't even have to do anything if I truly didn't want to, but we're going to. Just very nice quality by Vanquish, of course. It's great stuff. I really just can't say enough about them. No, I'm not sponsored, not trying to be sponsored or anything. I mean, if they want to, that's fine, but I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out stuff that I noticed, where I've noticed really good stuff. I'm going to let you guys know because this stuff is very good. So next, we're going to take this piece right here. It has the little Vanquish logo on it. The Vanquish logo is going to point inward toward the back of your motor. You're going to take this and go through the top right here. And then these two little guys are going to sit on the edge just like this. And you're going to take two 3x12s. Put those guys through there. Once we have that done, we're going to proceed to use, you can use the optional cover they give you. You can either use this little guy, it kind of looks like a shifter, or you can just use the little Vanquish logo right here, and it's going to go over this. So I think we're going to choose to use the shifter just because I think it's really cool. Don't get me wrong, this Vanquish logo is very cool as well, but I kind of like the shifter. They're giving it to us, so I think that's really cool. Also, maybe you have another option too. Yeah, these all seem to be the same, so if you didn't want that one, you have 3 options here. You got the Vanquish logo, the VFD, or you have a little scale shifter. Screw these down. I'm not going to tighten these yet because I believe this other piece is going to mate up to it. So next piece we have is this guy. I don't know which one to call this one, but he's going to go like this. So this will match up to the shifter just like this. You have the big circle part is going to match up with the other one. Do him in a second. You're going to take a 5x11x4 bearing, put in there. It's going to be one of the bigger bearings that you have. You're also going to take another one and you're going to put on the top right here. Once you have your 2 bearings in here. So now for this shaft, what I want to show here, you have 2 holes followed by 2 indents for 2 little C-clips. You're going to need one of the bigger pins followed by one of the smaller pins. The bigger pin is going to go through the shaft just like this. Then your smaller pin is going to go through the top. And we're going to take our longer gear right here. It's got the little slot in the back. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down on top of there until that lines up, and then you're good there. We're going to take this and push it in there, followed by this guy. It's going to be one of your biggest gears. It's got the little slot in the back, and you're going to push this down straight over here. Make sure it lines up, and then go ahead and spin your spur gear. Make sure everything spins freely, good, and just as it should. Now you're going to take this piece, take another 5x11x4, put it in the top again, just like that. And now we can begin to go ahead and push this together. Just like that, you'll hear it snap. You could also wait till you just did all this to go and put this on. That's why I left it loose. I figured this was going to be the case. It's got a little groove it's going to fit in, which will be fine either way. This, it wants us to take one of our M3x12s, the little countersunk screw, and go into this hole right here. It's going to be a 2 mil. Go ahead and thread that together. We're going to take one of our M3x12s, and it only wants us to put 1 screw through right here. It's going to be a 2.5. I'm going to go and put my other 2 in the top of this shifter kit. Now that you have all of this assembled, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and spin your spur gear and make sure everything spins freely. You don't hear any weird noises. Everything seems to be working good for me. Also spin this. Everything seems to be great for me. All right, now next we're going to begin to grab one of our smaller pins, the 2x8. Now you have 2 of these guys. One says 32 outside diameter, I believe, or OD. You're going to take the one that doesn't say that for right now, and it's going to go ahead and pop in just like that. And just like that. Now you're going to take 4 of your 5x11x4 bearings. You're going to first off slide one guy into here, just like that. You can use anything really to help push it down and set it in there. We're going to take another one, put right here. followed by another one going here, and a final one going right there. This is where our pin comes in. It's nice to have a tool try to help you because these things are kind of tricky. Alright, now that you've got that pin in, you're going to grab your other gear. It's the last gear that has a slot in it. It's going to be a 23 tooth. You flip all these other guys over, you'll notice there's no slot in the bottom of them. So you know you got the right one. The longer one goes in first. This skinnier one goes in on the outside, right here. Perfect. Seems we're going to take this indented part, and it's going to go over the top of this right here. See, it's kind of hollow on the inside, and then you have the flat side. The flat side goes out to you. You're going to just place that over just like that. Put a M3 by 12 in there. Grab your 2.5 again. Alright, now you're going to want to take one of these little pins right here. I seem to have forgotten this, but I remembered somehow. So you're going to take this little C-clip right here, and he is going to clip on this top shaft. Maybe kind of hard to press on, might need a flat head. And just like that, that's going to clip on and hold all those gears together just like that. Okay, and then the second clip that also in the instruction manual, I'm looking at it again, they don't tell you about it, but it's on there. Step 9, it's not on there, but step 10 it is. You gotta look really closely to find it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on because I forgot first time. Again, take your flat head, it'll help save your fingers. And just push that on there just like that. That'll help save you guys some trouble, hopefully, if you overlook that like me, because the manual does not say anything about that. From 9 to 10, it's just not there. Next on the agenda, you're going to grab this guy. It's kind of like an octagon shape, has no holes in it, just solid metal. You're going to grab your tiny idler gear. You're going to put him over the top of this. Now you have 5 of these guys right here. You're going to grab the smallest one that's flat on each end. These guys are kind of rounded. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the side that doesn't have the little indents right here. You're going to put that toward this gear that you slid on, so the indent is to the outside. Now you're going to grab one of these. Either one, I believe these are identical. Yes, they are. So you're going to grab either one of these guys. They are identical. What we're going to begin to do is grab this guy right here, and we're going to slide him over the top onto here. Then we're going to take one of our smaller bearings, follow right in behind with that, followed by this guy with the 3 things pointing inward. Slid over the top of that bearing, so that way this can go together and lock in and do all its good stuff. Then once you have that, you're going to take a 5 by 11 by 4. Then we're going to take one of our little washers, put on the outside of here. Once you have all that done, then you're going to set that one to the side with this other guy. We're going to grab our other one, and we're going to put this stuff on the side that has the hole. So you're going to take this guy, slide him over just like that. Take one of your smaller bearings, your 5 by 9 by 3, slide over there. You're going to take this gear that has 3 notches on it, put it back on over top of that bearing, lock it in. You're going to take another 5 by 11 by 4, the bigger bearing, slide over top and into this gear. And it might help for this step to get this bearing in here to go ahead and put this on before you put that on. So you can lock that guy in really good. Now once you have this put together, you're going to take another washer, put on the outside. Now, on the edge right here, what we're going to do with the gears we just created, for the outside, closest to this piece that's kind of sticking over right here, you're going to take and the one that has the hole toward the inside right here, that you put the gear closest to, which would be this guy, he's going to go through this one. And he's going to go just like that. Now with the smaller guy, he's going to go right in the center with this small end of the shaft that you put the gear closest. He's going to go inside. Make sure he settles down all the way on there. The other one that you put with the hole facing outside, make sure your washer's still on, and you're going to take and put this in just like that. Now, what you're going to do with all these is they want you to grease these. So we're going to take some of the grease they provided, and we're going to grease all these up. All right, now once you make sure you spun these and you put grease all the way around them, we'll move on to the next step now. All right, now for this next step to begin with, you're gonna need your biggest case piece. It's got VFD written on the back here. You're gonna need your metal lockout, 2 of your M3x12 screws, and then this other little bearing holder that says 30T OD on the back. What you're gonna do first off is take this guy, and with the writing pointing down, you're gonna put this in the back of the case, just like that. Once you have that done, then you're gonna take your bearings and put in there. These are gonna be your last 4 5x11x4s. Go in there nice and easy. Just like that. Once you have that done, you're gonna proceed to take this lockout piece, and he is going to slide down in there just like this with this little indent sticking up. He's going to slide down and touch, and that's where these 2 little guys come in. Go ahead and just start those with your fingers. It's going in the middle, so it'll be easy. Take our nut driver and snug them up. Now, after that is complete, I want to set this to the side, just like that. Just make sure your bearings don't fall out. Now we're going to begin by taking our gear that has the hex built into the center of it, and we're going to slide this on this middle shaft. Slide this on the middle shaft just like this, spin it till it lines up, push it in, let that thing go. Now we're going to grab our last weird gear that has the 3 indents on the back side, and what we're going to do for this, it's going to go on this outside shaft. First off, you're going to take one of your last 5x9x3 bearings, slide that on there. Then this guy's going to slide on, and then the other bearing's going to go on. Before we do that though, I'm going to go ahead and put this bearing in just because I feel like it'll be easier. Perfect. Once that guy goes in just like that, then we can proceed to go ahead and slide this over just like that, very nice and smooth. Now on the outside of this, it wants 1 more washer, so we're going to put our last washer on the outside of this one. Just like that. Now once all of that is complete, it wants you to grease everything again, so we're going to go ahead and grease all this. Now we're going to take this guy that we put the bearings in, and we're going to go ahead and slide him over the top. You're going to want this hole facing up, so that way your lockout's going to go on this other gear. Now on this, it might take some finessing to get together. It sure did for me. I had this one center guy right here was kind of bowed out. I'm not sure why, but he would push together pretty easily. So I just took a difficult time to line this up with those bearings. But once all that got good, now we spin freely. We don't lock up. Everything spins as it should. I can see down in there. And everything looks really good, and I'm happy with that. So that's a win for me. Now what we're going to do here is go ahead and screw everything together. For that, you're going to need M3x12s, 2 of them, and you're going to need the M3x20, 1 of those. M3x20 is going to go through the top right here, all the way through here. See, that lines up perfectly. That one's going to go into this. Then you got your other M3x12s are going to go through the sides right here. 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. Now once you have all this screwed together, everything should be good. You should still be able to spin it and move it. Now we're moving on to our dig control. Now for your dig arm, you're going to have the trans on this side, this piece pointing down, and you're going to go ahead and slide this in until you see this hole line up right here on the top, which is exactly what you want. And once you see that line up, you're going to go ahead and take 2 of these set screws. These are going to be a 1.5. And you're going to go ahead and thread those into the top of this, just like that. And what this is going to do is lock this in the position that you want it. If you don't have a servo to control it like I don't. Now you're going to take your other one, it says overdrive, and it's going to come through on this side. Make sure it goes into that slot in the center. It's going to go right over top of this dig one, just like that. Once you have those in, you can go ahead and take your brass pin, place in between both of those, and it will hold them together. You might have to wiggle them a little bit to line them up, Just like that, it's perfect. Now they can go back and forth and do the job they're supposed to do. You can grab this guy, and what you're going to do is put this little rubber seal down on the inside of him. Just like that, it'll fit nice and snug. And then you can proceed to slide this over the bottom bar that's for the dig. And that'll line up nice and good at the bottom. And you're going to take some of your M2x6s and run those up. Now we're going to take this piece right here that has the overdrive and the Vanquish logo on it. The Vanquish logo is going to go toward the top, just like this. And 2x6s, you got 4 of these, going to go down on there. Also, if you want to do these little shift knobs right here, say the Vanquish logo, it's pretty freaking cool. Go ahead and slap those bad boys on there. I almost forgot about that. Okay, now if you're like me and you don't have servos right now, or you just don't plan to use servos, I believe they even gave you an extra case, if I'm not mistaken, to not use these 2 pieces and just kind of have a simple normal transmission. So that's completely up to you. I'm not quite sure how that works. But for these, if you just want to do that, I put this one all the way forward like it says in the thing to eliminate the dig function for right now. And then as well as the overdrive, I put to the back. So this should be good right now. If I want to adjust it later, I can adjust it later. It's not that hard to do. Everything still spins. Everything is good. No weird noises. Everything looks tip top. And we are good to move on to the next step. Transmission complete.